Parents are supposed to protect you, right? So how could mine abandon me at 12, leaving me on a Phoenix street with just a backpack? Is it a curse or a chance when they turn out to be greedy opportunists? I built millions from nothing, only for them to crawl back for my fortune. If you were me, how far would you go to teach them a lesson? This is my story of betrayal, and how I made them pay. My name's Ethan, and I was just a kid when my world fell apart. I grew up in a quiet Phoenix neighborhood, where life felt like it was pulled from a sitcom. Kids raced bikes down our street until the streetlights buzzed on. My parents, Linda and Greg, were my everything. Dad taught me to throw a spiral in our backyard, shouting pointers during my pee-wee football games. Mom helped me wrestle through math homework, her laughter bouncing around our kitchen. Weekends meant piling into our old sedan for mall trips, splitting soft pretzels and catching the latest superhero flick. Dad fixed cars for a living, Mom worked at a daycare. They weren't rolling in money, but we had enough, and I felt loved. Until I was 12. One night, they sat me down, faces like stone. "Ethan," Dad said, "we can't keep you anymore." The next morning, they drove me to a gas station, handed me $20, and left. I stood there, staring at their taillights, waiting for them to turn back. They didn't. That first night, I huddled behind a dumpster, my backpack my only pillow. Phoenix was unforgiving, days baked me at 110 degrees, nights left me shivering. I was 12, alone, and scared out of my mind. Every creak or car horn made me jump, thinking someone would find me, or worse. I scavenged burger wrappers from fast food bins, my stomach a constant knot. I'd sneak into the library to escape the heat, burying myself in books to forget how empty I felt. I was invisible, a kid who didn't matter while others my age were at school. I dodged cops, terrified of foster care, but I'd cry at night, wondering why my parents didn't want me. By 13, I started working, lying about my age to wash dishes at a diner for $5 an hour. My hands cracked and bled from scrubbing pots, but every dollar meant a meal. I slept in alleys or snuck into a church basement during storms. School felt like a lost cause, but I'd study at the library after hours, teaching myself algebra from dog-eared books. The loneliness was worse than the hunger. I'd dream of Mom's laugh, then wake up to nothing. At 14, I got on a library computer and searched for my parents. They weren't broke, they'd sold our house for $200,000 and moved to Scottsdale. They didn't abandon me because they had to. They chose to. That truth hurt worse than sleeping on concrete. I swore I wouldn't let their betrayal define me. At 15, I got a job at a tire shop, hauling rubber in the Arizona sun. My boss, Miguel, saw me struggling and let me sleep in his garage. "Ethan, you're tougher than you know," he'd say. I saved every cent, got my GED at 16, and enrolled in community college at 17. I worked nights as a janitor, studying engineering between shifts, surviving on 4 hours of sleep. I'd nod off on the bus, dreaming of a life where I wasn't alone. At 20, I landed an internship at a small tech firm, diving into solar panel designs. Solar was my obsession, a way to build something that lasted. At 22, I started SunVolt, making portable solar chargers from a rented room, coding until my eyes burned. My first break came at 24, a $100,000 contract with a local retailer. By 27, SunVolt was worth $10 million. At 30, I was a multimillionaire with a penthouse and a Forbes feature. But no amount of money filled the hole my parents left. I still wanted answers. Despite everything, I couldn't let go. At 18, I found their Scottsdale address and sent a letter, "I'm your son. Can we talk?" It went unanswered. At 20, I drove to their mansion, heart pounding, and buzzed the gate. Mom's voice crackled through, "We don't know an Ethan." The gate didn't budge. At 25, after SunVolt's first big deal, I called Dad, begging for a conversation. "You're not our problem," he snapped, hanging up. Each rejection cut deeper, like I was 12 again, watching their car disappear. But I kept hoping they'd change. At the tire shop, I'd met Rosa, Miguel's wife, who became my rock. She'd cook me tamales, saying, "Families who shows up, Ethan." Her warmth kept me sane, but she warned me, "Your parents will only come back for what you have." I didn't want to believe her. Then, at 30, my phone rang. It was Mom. "Ethan, we've missed you," she said, her voice dripping with fake warmth. They'd seen my Forbes article. Suddenly, they wanted to reunite. They showed up at my office, all hugs and smiles. Dad talked about making up for lost time, Mom faked tears. I wanted to believe them, but Rosa's warning lingered. I played along, hosting them for dinners, listening to their stories. Rosa overheard them at a cafe, bragging about tapping Ethan's millions. I hired a private investigator, Mike, who uncovered their mess, $2 million in debt from bad investments, their mansion in foreclosure. They'd even opened credit lines in my name, claiming I was their business partner. Their plan was clear: get me to bail them out. I decided they'd pay for their greed. I spent months planning. Mike dug up dirt, fake charities, forged documents, and years of tax evasion. They needed $2 million to save their mansion and avoid jail. I baited them, saying I'd invest in their new real estate venture, a scam they eagerly pitched. I set up a fake charity gala in Phoenix, inviting investors, media, and local leaders, promising a $2 million donation to their cause. They showed up, strutting in designer clothes, charming the crowd. I took the stage. "This is for my parents," I said, then played Mike's evidence. Recordings of their cafe boasts, proof of their scams, and documents showing they'd used my name. The room fell silent, then erupted. Investors walked out, reporters swarmed them. I'd tipped off the IRS anonymously days earlier. As they screamed at me, calling me ungrateful, their lies unraveled in front of everyone. Their own greed had trapped them. The IRS seized their mansion within a week. They pleaded guilty to tax evasion and fraud, each getting 7 years. They lost their wealth, their status, everything. I didn't feel triumph, just relief. I sold their foreclosed mansion and donated the money to a Phoenix youth shelter, hoping no kid would feel as alone as I did. Rosa hugged me, saying, "You built your own family, Ethan." I'm growing Sunvolt, free from their shadow. Their greed was their downfall, and I've finally moved on. Linda and Greg are serving their sentences, cut off from the life they chased. I hear they're estranged from everyone now, living with the consequences of their choices. Rosa and Miguel are still in Phoenix, running their tire shop, my true family. Mike's retired, enjoying his fishing trips. As for me, I've left Phoenix behind, settling in San Diego, where Sunvolt's new headquarters hums with ideas. Looking back, I see a kid who thought he was worthless, abandoned at a gas station. But that kid built something unbreakable, my own strength. Their betrayal taught me I don't need their love to be whole. I'm not that lonely boy anymore. I've found peace, not in their downfall, but in knowing I chose to rise.